Welcome, you Knights of Caliban, you beautiful boys in green. We've got some exciting stuff to talk about today. We have the Lion's Blade Task Force. This is the second detachment that has been released by Games Workshop in the month of December for all of our awesome freaking factions in Warhammer 40,000. The Lion's Blade Task Force is specific to the Dark Angels. This will be added on with your other 3 detachments in the Dark Angels Codex. So now you have 4 detachments to choose from. Now, similar to the Death Guard detachment that was released yesterday, which I went over, although I think that one was a little bit better. And by the way, everyone who thinks that detachment sucked, we'll talk again in a few weeks when you realize how amazing that detachment actually is. This is a good detachment. Now, is this going to beat Gladius? Probably not. It's probably not better than Gladius. I'm not making the claim that it is. But this is actually a very functional and usable detachment that's going to allow you to play the Dark Angels in really new and exciting ways. And I'm pretty pumped up to share them with you. So let's start breaking down the Lion's Blade freaking Task Force. This is pretty dang cool. All right. The detachment rule is called In the Lion's Claws. It's a little bit lengthy, but I'm going to read it to you and I'm going to talk about what it means and how we're actually going to be utilizing it. Each time an enemy vehicle or an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles within engagement range of 1 or more Ravenwing units from your army, falls back, all models must take a desperate escape test. Now, this at a baseline is cool. It's literally adding on a unit ability to all of your Ravenwing models in the army. And as you'll notice, this entire detachment is all about coordinating the Ravenwing with the Deathwing. So you're going to basically be spamming as much Ravenwing and Deathwing as you possibly can because everything relies on coordinating the 2 units working in tangent, and it actually works pretty well. All right, so basically everything's going to have to take a desperate escape if it ever wants to fall back from Ravenwings. This does not apply to monsters and vehicles, and you're at -1 if you are battle shocked. So you can die on a 1 through 3. So this is brutal for armies like Blood Angels, who rely on fallback and charge. Suddenly, the Sanguinary Guard, which want to fall back and charge, half the unit just dies. Oh my god, is that bad? It is brutally powerful. So if you think this ability is useless, you're wrong. It's not useless. Then, at the same time, each time a Deathwing unit from your army declares a charge, if 1 or more targets of that charge are within engagement range of a Ravenwing unit, add 2 to the charge roll. What does this mean? Guys, this is awesome. This means that you can actually start all your Deathwing stuff in reserve, use your Ravenwing units, which are super fast, so call them Outriders, call them freaking Black Knights, call them whatever, use them to charge and tag an enemy unit. You get +2 to charge from all Deathwing Knights. Your Deathwing Knights, your Deathwing Terminators, your Blade Guard Vets, these guys are going to be getting some really sick, more or less 7-inch deep strike charges. I mean, they're still 9 inches away, but they add 2 to the charge, so they're going to need a 7 on the dice. This is a very powerful ability. It will make this detachment one of the best deep strike charging detachments in the entire game. That's dang strong. And then when you start sacking on, oh, wait a second, Assault Terminators reroll charges, there's some real things that you can actually build in this detachment that can do some serious damage to people. All right, now, I know, okay, so Terminators can work, but Terminators are already bad. But let's just look at some of the new things that, like the enhancements and the stratagems that will help to enable this even further. Starting with the very first enhancement, Calibanite Armaments. 15 points. Adeptus Astartes model only. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. Can you guys say damage 3 Power Fist? Hello! This is just a solidly good enhancement. Is it busted? No. Is it going to be game-changing? No. But it is absolutely going to seriously be encouraging running maybe a captain with some of your Terminators. They get to Deep Strike. They get to get a 7-inch charge. They get +1 to damage on the captain's weapons. It's actually pretty damn exciting. Lord of the Hunt, Ravenwing model only. Now, if this was available on any model, this would be busted, but it's not. It's only on Ravenwings, which just makes it decent. The bearer's unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back, and you get to reroll any desperate escape test taken for models in the bearer's unit. This is actually really sick because it will allow you to say, be engaged with screens. Desperate escape, fall back over the screens, and then charge into something else without having to worry about the desperate escape test because you get to re-roll them when you fall back over the enemy models. It's actually a really sick enhancement that can see a lot of really, really interesting play. Once again, everyone cool your horses. I'm not saying this is better than Gladius. I'm just saying it's good and exciting. Stalwart Champion. This only goes on a captain, a chaplain, or a lieutenant. While the bearer's unit is not battle shocked, add 1 to the OC characteristic of models in the bearer's unit. Very, very solid. It absolutely helps with your Terminators and your Deathwing Knights and things like, or not, yeah, I guess Deathwing. probably just Terminators and stuff that are going to be holding objectives, because it's going to add one to the OC characteristic. You can get really weird with it if you. I'm not saying you want to do this, by the way, but if you wanted to have, say, like a Terminator Ancient or like a Blade Guard that Ancients and have this on one of your characters, then you can get OC3 Terminators, which is actually kind of sick. All right, then we look at Fulgus Magna. This is a Deathwing model only. So Terminator, basically. Once per battle at the end of your opponent's turn, if the bearer's unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, remove the bearer's unit from the battlefield and place it in his strat reserves. Guys, you get uppy downy on Terminators. Your Terminators get to rapid ingress in, do their thing, uppy downy somewhere else. This rocks. This also is going to give you the opportunity to turn 1 deep strikes if you go second, right? So if you're going second, at the end of your opponent's turn, when they go first, you can pick this model up and you can come down turn 1 with it. That is really important. Now remember, this only works if you go second. This enhancement is very, very strong. It's approaching one of the best enhancements that you can actually just get in the game. So it's very, very good. Do not sleep on it. So all of the enhancements here are actually quite usable and pretty dang solid. I would say probably the worst one would be the Stalwart Champion for the additional OC. If that was not Battle Shock linked, like if you were still +1 when you were Battle Shocked, I'd say that would be a badass one as well. But that's the one that you're probably not going to worry too much about. But the other 3 are just actually really damn good. And the detachment rule is going to give you some really interesting things when combined with the stratagems that we're about to talk about. So, overpowering exaction. When command phase or start of the fight phase. So you can do it in your command phase or fight phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes unit in your army, so it's not locked to keyword locked. It's any Adeptus Astartes unit. And you can only use it once per battle round. What you do is you get to select 1 enemy unit with engagement range, and they take a battle shock test. If your unit is a Deathwing or Ravenwing, it's at -1. Guys, I cannot tell you how powerful these abilities are. When I am smashing people with my Blood Angels, the most powerful ability in my army is Dante's Aura of Battle Shock at -1. Now, I do understand that is an aura of Battle Shock at -1, and it's not just one targeted unit, but the ability just to be like, hey, pass this Battle Shock, or you don't get Armor Contempt, or you don't get your Feel No Pain, or you don't get, it's super damn, or you can't interrupt, so I don't have to worry about ordering my attacks in a certain way. Guys, it is super, super powerful. Both Death Guard have this, and now the Lion's Blade have this as well. People sleep on stratagems like this. You really, really shouldn't. Knights of Iron is the second one we're going to talk about. This is going to be your movement phase or charge phase. This is very, very, very good. Very good, all right? 1 Ravenwing unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a normal, advance, or charge move, it can move horizontally through terrain features. So you just go straight, you get to ignore terrain. You get to Kool-Aid Man with your Ravenwing units. This is very powerful, especially when you combine it with the fact that you desperately want to be charging these guys into an enemy unit to give +2 to the charge to your deep striking Deathwing models. Very, very strong. Armor Contempt, it's classic. Man, I really think they just need to make Armor Contempt like the faction strat. Like, give every faction like the strat for the faction, and then just do that. Like, if you want every detachment to have a same stratagem, give that stratagem to the whole faction, and then give people like 6 stratagems that they can actually use. I don't know. The Armor Contempt, it's just good. Then Illuminating Fire. Select 1 enemy unit within 12 inches of your unit that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. And this is in the shooting phase, just after a Ravenwing unit has selected its targets. So your Ravenwing unit selects the enemy unit. And that enemy unit has to be within 12 inches of your Ravenwing unit. Now, until the end of the phase, each time a friendly Deathwing unit makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the rune roll. This stratagem sucks. It's absolutely useless. Unless you just have some magical, amazing at shooting Deathwing unit that, I don't know, is going to be freaking awesome. I don't know. I think this sucks. Maybe it's good. Maybe I'm misunderstanding the way that Deathwing keyword works. Maybe it applies to some vehicles I'm not considering. Like, +1 to wound on maybe a Redemptor is actually kind of cool. And perhaps if the Redemptor gets some changes, maybe some points going down, the Dreadnought Redemptor, maybe that actually is usable. But as the game state is right now, I think that this stratagem sucks. But we have an entire balance status slate where this could become very, very exciting. So for right now, I'm going to call that stratagem a swing and a miss. But once again, I could be missing something with the Deathwing keywords. Then we have the Strength in Unity. All right, this is in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. This is a little bit complicated, but I'm gonna walk you through it, okay? one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Okay, so an enemy unit attacks you. All right, they've decided these are the attacks I'm putting into you. Now, if that unit is within gauge of a Raven Wing unit, so let's say Black Knights are engaging it, then suddenly all the attacks against you are going to be at -1 to hit. Okay, that's cool. So basically, so you can just say if I have Raven Wing, I'm -1 to be hit. And then if you're within engagement range of Deathwing Knights until the end of the phase, each time a model of that enemy unit makes attack, it's going to be -1 to wound if the strength is higher than the toughness of the enemy. Okay, cool. -1 to wound on demand. That's pretty sick. But it gets better. What if you have a Raven Wing unit and a Deathwing unit engaged? Suddenly, you're going to be -1 to hit and -1 to be wounded for 1 CP. That is bonkers powerful and can do amazing freaking things. Imagine the Lion. The Lion is engaged. He fights first, and then he's going to be -1 to be hit and -1 to be wounded on the swing back. Ugh. That is brutally powerful. They do have a restriction on this one, and I think it's probably a good restriction because this could get bonkers strong. A unit cannot be targeted by this and Armor of Contempt in the same phase. Probably just a good little future-proofing there. It's good to just not have actually invulnerable units, but that is a extremely strong stratagem. Of course, it will take work to set it up. And then lastly, we have the Inescapable Wrath. I don't quite understand this one, but I can see uses for it, but it seems pretty edge case to me. Now, at the end of your opponent's charge phase, this is the key. It is at the end of your opponent's charge phase. One Deathwing Infantry or Deathwing Walker unit from your army that is within 6 inches of one or more enemy units and would be eligible to declare a charge against one or more of those enemy units if it were your charge phase. Basically, this is a heroic intervention that applies after you get to see all of your enemy's charges instead of having to react immediately after your enemy charges. So you're not going to be able to get caught out by baited heroic interventions. Okay, it's kind of cool, but it's 2 CP. I don't understand that, and it seems pretty niche to me. This stratagem seems a little bit like a miss to me. For 1 CP, I could actually see a decent value, but 2 CP, I just don't think I would ever be using this. Illuminating Fire, I can see how that could be quite good if there's some changes coming in, or if I'm just misunderstanding some of the which units get. You know what? Let's actually just settle this right now. I'm gonna open up. I gotta see what actually gets the Deathwing keyword, so I don't want to mislead you guys since we're going through this. So just bear with me for like 10 seconds as I open up the Dark Angels. Here we go. What actually gets the Deathwing keyword? All right. The Deathwing is gonna be Terminator, Blade Guards, Van Vets. Okay, the Land Raider actually gets it. Okay, that's kind of cool. Oh, all right. I'm a liar. I'm a piece of garbage. Ignore me. This is actually a very interesting stratagem now because the Land Raider Redeemer has the Deathwing keyword, which means now those Strength 6 Flamers at AP2 damage 2 are going to be at +1 to wound. Ignore me. That is actually a really dang good stratagem. Illuminating Fire is actually really sick now. Everything I said a few seconds previously, ignore that. Illuminating Fire is a hit. It rocks. I'm really pumped up about it. Repulsor Executioner also benefits from it, and all your Dreadnoughts. Okay, Illuminating Fire is really damn cool. You stack that, and then it's just the Inescapable Wrath that's a little bit of a swing and a miss. I think this is probably the best of the Dark Angels detachments they can play. I do still think Inner Circle has some real play in it. This is pretty damn good. You get uppy downy Terminators. You get Terminators at +2 to charge. You get Raven Wing units that get to ignore cover and get to fall back. This has a lot of elements that I'd be willing to bet we're going to see some really interesting innovations coming out of this detachment. And it's not as obviously punch you in the throat strong as some of the other detachments that we may see. But this one's a sleeper, man. I can see some cool stuff coming off of this. So with that, guys, I'm going to take off. I've got something else that I'm cooking up for later today, but I want to make sure I bring these videos to you because this is some really sick stuff that GW is cooking for us. I'm immediately imagining our Dark Knights just fly-bying everywhere, driving through walls. You might actually only do it with Outriders because Outriders are a little bit cheaper, and they're still going to get that Ravenwing keyword. But yeah, man, there's going to be some really fascinating things that you can do with this. I'm basically here for it, like, for real. All right, anyway, I'm going to take off for now. Appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until next time, happy crumping. Bye-bye.